How do I move my company to a new state? My name is Andrew Ayers. I'm a business law and estate planning attorney with offices in Edina, Minnesota and New York City. And today we're going to look at what it looks like from a legal standpoint to move your company from one state to another. Now, in the past few years, we've seen a lot of people move to different states. As we were able to work remotely, we were no longer necessarily tied to an office that we had to travel to 5 days a week. For a lot of my clients who are running businesses, this meant moving maybe either out of state or out of their metro area, but they're still able to run their business remotely. In the situation where you move over the border to a different state, you may wonder at some point, does it make sense to actually move your entire company to a new state? So let's say your company is entirely remote. It doesn't matter where anybody is living at the time when they're doing their work. Now you've moved from, let's say, New York to Connecticut, and you wonder, why am I still paying New York taxes? Maybe it'd make more sense if I reincorporate my business over in Connecticut, make it a Connecticut business. And then what's that legal process look like? So what we're going to do today is look at a 4-step plan for you to make sure that you've got some way to move forward and look at some options for you and your company. And before you even go down this road, you need to look at whether or not this process is right for your company. And this process is called domestication. So that's the legal term we use when we take a company in state A and move it to state B. And when we're trying to decide whether this is going to be the right choice for you and your company, we need to look at what's that process going to look like. So you may think it might be simple to move, in the example I talked about, from New York to Connecticut. Not a problem, just moving right over the border to a different state, and I can just set up my shop there and then just have everything slide across the state lines. But you need to realize it's not that simple. The reason is, not every state allows you to domesticate a foreign company. They may allow you to register as a foreign business doing business in their state, but not all of them allow you to just move the state over state lines. And so if you move from one state to another and the new state you're in does not allow for domestication, the process we're going to talk about today is a little more involved than simply domesticating your company. So if we're doing a simple domestication, for example, you're in state A, you move to state B, you file some paperwork with state B, and then now the state A company is treated as a state B company. It's called domestication. It's a pretty straightforward process. However, let's look today at the plan for when we don't have domestication that's allowed in your new state. What are we going to do then? First thing we need to do, regardless of what kind of state we're moving to, is look at the state's laws regarding domestication. What are their rules if you can domesticate or not, and what are the regulations surrounding foreign businesses moving into their state? Now, if you haven't figured out already, one of the most important stakeholders in this decision for you and your company has to be your finance department, and your finance department has to be speaking to your accountant. So you need to understand, when you're moving from state A to state B, what are the taxes going to look like? Because if you reincorporate in state B, you create a new business, and the taxes are going to go through the roof in the new state because they have a different tax structure, you may want to think about, do you even want to actually move the company to state B? It might make more sense to just leave it in state A and let everybody work remote. So it's important, step 1, to research that new state's laws and regulations. Step 2 for this, you need to obtain approval from your current state. So you can't just say, I'm moving from state A to state B. As part of a domestication process, you need to make sure that state A, where you're currently at, allows you to redomesticate into another state, and you usually need permission from your current state. So make sure you get whatever approvals are needed, and this will be at a state-by-state basis because, as I said, not every state even allows for this process. Step 3, you'll need to file articles of domestication or other corporate filings in your new state. No matter which path you choose for this situation, whether it's creating a whole new company or whether it's just domesticating your old company, you'll need to make sure that you have the right filings with your new state to get your company set up in the new state. And step 4, you need to update all of your business records and documents, your website, all your corporate records. Everything has to be documented in this process, showing that you've gone from state A to state B. So if you're going from state A to state B, and these states do not have the ability for you to just domesticate in the state B, what's this going to look like for you? One tip you need to watch out for is, don't just shut down your company in state A and then move to state B and then set up a company there. You've created a window of time where you technically don't have a company. So instead, what you want to do is set up your new company in state B. And you go through all those formation processes you went through back in the day when you set up in state A. Get set up, get bank accounts, get a new federal identification number for your company. You need everything to be set up as a new company. And once you're settled and everything is set up, then go back to state A and make sure you're shutting down your company in state A. Now, depending upon the nature of your company and what the state requires, you may actually need a tax clearance certificate or other document to even allow you to voluntarily dissolve your company in state A. So there's a lot of different moving pieces here, and you need to make sure you're working with a professional. On the legal side of things, work with an attorney. Don't try to grab some forms off a website and try to figure out how to domesticate yourself from one state to another. This is not where you want to try to do it yourself. You also want to make sure you're working with your accountant. You're going to have to close shop in state A. There's going to be tax returns, final tax returns in that state. There'll be new tax returns in state B. So this is one of those processes where it's important that you're working with professionals. So if your company is moving to a new state and you're not sure where to get started, let's set up a legal strategy session. You can go to my website, andrewmayers.com. There's a red legal strategy session button on the main page. You'll be taken to my personal calendar where we'll set up a 15 or 20 minute phone call. We can look at your company and where you are now and what state you're looking to move to. And once we've got some ideas, we'll give you best options and we'll take a plan like we talked about today and make sure your company has a plan for moving forward. If you like this video, you can hit the like button below. You can go to YouTube and subscribe. And if you have other questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk about domesticating your company or moving your company to a new state.